To impeach or not impeach, that is a big question when House Democrats speak to each other just hours from now. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is hosting her entire caucus on a conference call to presumably get on the same page after the redacted version of the Mueller report dropped. She said Friday that Congress will not be silent. But will they be speaking with one voice, at least on the Democratic side? That is far from clear at this moment. Here's what one top Democrat, though, Elijah Cummings, has said about it all.
I got to tell you, there comes a point in life where we all have to make decisions based upon the fact that it is our watch. And, you know, history, I think, even if we did not win, possibly, if there were not impeachment, I think history would smile upon us for standing up for the Constitution.
And the president just responded to the first questions on impeachment. Caitlin Collins was there. Caitlin Collins asked the president. She's joining me once again. Caitlin, what did he say?
Well, Kate, I believe this is the first time the president has interacted with reporters since the Mueller report was publicly released on Thursday. And we asked him about not only impeachment, but also this depiction in the Mueller report that the president is often ignored by his own staff. And Kate, it's clearly something that has been on the president's mind because he was quick to answer it. Worried that your staff is ignoring your orders as the Mueller report portrays?
Nobody disobeys my orders.
Are you worried about impeachment, Mr. President?
Not even a little bit.
So there, Kate, you see the president said he's not even a little bit worried about impeachment, something that we've reported Democrats are struggling to decide which way to go on that. But then back to the staff that has ignored the president's orders, he said nobody disobeys my orders. That's what he told us. But Kate, that is certainly not what the Mueller report showed when it was released on Thursday, because not only did it detail a president who has been dishonest at times, the Mueller report also portrayed a president who had his White House counsel ignore his directive to start the firing of the special counsel. It also showed his attorney general ignoring his questions about him unrecusing himself from overseeing the investigation, as well as a former campaign aide who refused to carry out the president's directive to send a message to the attorney general to curtail the Russia investigation. But clearly, Kate, we reported over the weekend, the president was pretty furious at those reports that detailed not only a dishonest president, but also a president who was regularly managed, restrained, or just flat out ignored by his staff. And clearly, that was something he wanted to address here with reporters.
Sure, he sure did. Great to have you there, Caitlin. I really appreciate it. All right, let's talk more about this. Joining me right now is Democratic Congresswoman Eleanor Holmes Norton. She sits on the House Oversight Committee. Congresswoman, thank you for coming in.
Of course.
The president says he is not worried even a little bit about impeachment. The chairman of your committee, Elijah Cummings, he suggests that even if the effort would not be successful when it comes to impeachment, it could still be worthwhile because it would put you guys on the right side of history. Do you agree?
Well, the way we're going to get on the right side of history is by doing the investigations that are going to be underway next week when we begin to meet. We've been here before, and we've got to be very careful. We do have precedent to guide us, and that is the impeachment of President Clinton. And I think that many members may not recognize what that entailed. Impeachment is essentially an indictment that begins in the House. That could happen in the House. I'm certainly not sure it would. But if it did, it would then have to go to the Senate, where 2/3 is required. First of all, the Senate is controlled by Republicans. 2/3 of the Senate, even if it were controlled by the Democrats, would be difficult. Now, when President Clinton was impeached, the House did indict, and that's what impeachment is, indict. But the Senate did not convict, so impeachment did not occur, and Clinton was more popular after that attempted impeachment than before. So I am not prepared for the first time that the Democrats have had control of the House in 7 years to go down an impeachment path that possibly, and I think almost certainly, will lead nowhere.
Well, if you think
it's a waste of our time.
If you do think it is a waste of your time, I do wonder then if you also think that, as you said, what your job is to continue these investigations. But if these investigations are into the matter that was fully investigated by Robert Mueller, are the investigations also a waste of time if you think that this is not leading anywhere close to impeachment in the end?
Well, actually, the Mueller report was a virtual invitation to the Congress to do the kind of investigation that only the Congress can do. Remember, Mueller was confined by the legal process. We are oversight, therefore we can look much more deeply into, for example, collusion. Now, we know that there were countless contacts between the Russians and the Trump organization, and we know exactly why they occurred, but we need to know more about those contacts. That's not the standard that a U.S. attorney, that's essentially what Mueller uses. He uses the standard of whether or not somebody can be indicted. We use the standard of what is the American what do the American people need to know, and this report just begs for that kind of oversight. It begs for us to look at obstruction of justice, where the invitation was even more clear, because the Mueller report said we can't say that we certainly don't say there wasn't obstruction of justice.
Let me play for you on obstruction of justice. I want to play for you what the chairman of the Judiciary Committee, Jerry Nadler, what he said on that yesterday.
Do you think this is impeachable?
Yeah, I do. I do think that this, if proven, which hasn't been proven yet, some of this, if proven, some of this would be impeachable, yes.
All right.
Obstruction of justice, if proven, would be impeachable.
He's talking about the at least 10 episodes of obstruction that Mueller was investigating and kind of targeted in his inquiry. If proven, do you think it would change your mind on impeachment?
Certainly. But look, Jerry was being very careful. If proven where? Impeachment is a political process, not a legal process. So it would have to be proved not only to indict in the House, but proved for real in the Senate. By the way, it's
so you don't think you don't think he would, or are you saying you think he was just dodging the question? I mean, do you think do you see, if after investigations in the House into the matters of obstruction, do you see yourself getting into a place where you would support impeachment, or do you think no matter what it still is a road to nowhere?
I believe it's a road to nowhere, because I do not believe that the Senate would indeed complete the process and impeach. Therefore, we would go to the people in 2020 with a failed impeachment attempt. So I do not favor impeachment. I certainly don't say it should be off the table. There's more to come, it seems to me, from our investigations. But to assume that impeachment is going to occur when it has almost never occurred in the history of the United States, and we have a recent example where impeachment failed with President Clinton, is to go to a road to nowhere, and we will go to the people with nothing to show for having been in the majority for 2 years.
Congresswoman, thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate your perspective on it.
My pleasure.
Coming up for us,